This is Lecture 6 of our Canopy Analysis and Design course. In Lecture 5, we wrapped up the analysis of the open canopy portion. In this session, we're shifting our attention to the enclosed sections beneath the canopy. Our goal here is to determine the wind loads acting on a typical frame located inside these areas. There are 3 enclosed spaces in total. 2 of them are the same size, while the one on the left is wider. Let's start with the dimensions. The wider enclosure is 40 meters long, 5 meters wide, and 8 meters tall. It has 2 openings, one in the side wall measuring 2.1 by 1 meters, and another in the back wall measuring 2.1 by 1.8 meters. Each of the smaller enclosures measures 16 by 5 by 8 meters. Each one has a pair of doors, one on each side wall, measuring 2.1 by 1 meters. Other than these doors, there are no additional openings in the walls or the roof of any of the 3 enclosures. According to ASCE 7, a building is classified into one of 4 enclosure categories when determining wind pressures: enclosed, open, partially enclosed, and partially open. Let's take a look at the smaller enclosures first. A building is considered enclosed if the area of openings in any wall that receives positive external wind pressure is less than or equal to 1% of that wall's area, or 0.37 square meters, whichever value is smaller. For the smaller buildings, the wall facing the wind, either the front or back, is 16 by 8 meters, giving an area of 128 square meters. 1% of that area is 1.28 square meters, so the governing threshold becomes 0.37 square meters. Since the front and back walls have no openings, all doors are on the side walls, the area of openings in the positively pressurized wall is 0. That means the smaller enclosures clearly meet the criteria for being classified as enclosed. Now let's turn to the wider enclosure. This building has an opening in the back wall, which becomes the positively pressurized surface when the wind blows from north to south. The opening measures 2.1 by 1.8 meters, giving an area of 3.78 square meters. The back wall itself is 40 by 8 meters, so 320 square meters in total. 1% of that is 3.2 square meters, so again the limit is 0.37 square meters. Because the 3.78 square meter opening exceeds that threshold, the building does not qualify as enclosed for north to south winds. However, if the wind direction reverses, blowing from south to north, the front wall becomes the positively pressurized surface. That wall has no openings. So in that case, the building does qualify as enclosed. In summary, whether the wider building is considered enclosed depends on the wind direction. For south to north winds, it qualifies as enclosed. For north to south winds, it doesn't. So, how should we classify it under north to south wind? Could it fall under the open category? ASCE defines an open building as one in which every wall is at least 80% open. Clearly, that's not the case here. The front wall has no openings at all, and the back wall's 3.78 square meter opening is far from 80% of its 320 square meter area. So how about partially enclosed? ASCE requires that 2 conditions be met for this classification. First, the area of openings in the positively pressurized wall has to exceed the sum of all openings in the rest of the building envelope by more than 10%. Second, that same opening must also be larger than 0.37 square meters, or 1% of that wall's area, and the openings in the remaining building envelope must not exceed 20%. Let's walk through the numbers. The opening in the back wall is 3.78 square meters. The only other opening in the entire building is a 2.1 square meter door in the side wall. 10% of 2.1 is 0.21, which means the back wall opening would need to exceed 2.31 square meters. Since 3.78 is larger than 2.31, the first condition is satisfied. For the second condition, as we noted earlier, 0.37 square meters is the governing threshold, and 3.78 easily exceeds that value. The total area of the remaining 3 walls, 2 side walls at 5 by 8 meters and the front wall at 40 by 8 meters, adds up to 400 square meters. The only opening in those walls is the 2.1 square meter door, which represents just 0.53% of the envelope area, well below the 20% limit. So both conditions are met. That means the wider building is classified as partially enclosed when the wind is blowing from north to south. In summary, we need to account for 3 enclosure classification scenarios to determine the critical wind effect on a typical frame within the enclosed portions of the bus terminal. For the 2 smaller enclosures, the classification is simple. They are enclosed for all wind directions. For the wider enclosure, the classification changes depending on the direction of the wind. When the wind blows from south to north, the wider enclosure qualifies as enclosed. When the wind blows from north to south, it becomes partially enclosed. This distinction will guide our choice of wind load cases in the analysis that follows. It directly affects the wind pressure equation, equation 27.3-1. In this equation, the internal pressure coefficient, GCPI, depends on whether the building is considered enclosed or partially enclosed. For enclosed buildings, internal pressures are relatively small, but for partially enclosed buildings, large openings allow wind to build up significant pressure inside, resulting in much higher internal pressure values. This difference has a major impact on the net wind pressures acting on the frame, which is why getting the enclosure classification correct is so important. To determine the design pressures acting on the walls and roofs of the enclosed spaces beneath the canopy, we need to consider 3 different loading scenarios. First, a north to south wind acting on the long enclosure. This case corresponds to the partially enclosed classification. Second, a south to north wind acting on any of the enclosures. This scenario falls under the enclosed classification. Third, a north to south wind acting on the smaller enclosure. This case also pertains to the enclosed classification. In scenario 1, we must determine both the external pressures and the large internal pressure associated with a partially enclosed condition. In this situation, the short cantilever of the roof is on the windward side. This means the wind produces positive pressure under the short cantilevered portion and negative pressure under the long cantilevered portion of the roof. In scenarios 2 and 3, the calculations for external and internal pressures are identical, but the roof geometry relative to the wind direction changes. In scenario 2, the long cantilevered portion of the roof faces the wind, resulting in positive pressure developing under that side of the roof and negative pressure forming under the shorter cantilever. In scenario 3, the short cantilevered portion faces the wind, which means we get positive pressure under the short side of the roof and negative pressure under the long side. These differences lead to distinct load profiles, and each scenario must be evaluated to ensure that no critical loading condition is overlooked. We will begin calculating the required wind pressure values in the next lecture.